Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make one of my favourite legendary Pokemon, Kyogre. This guy will always have a special place in my heart. The amount of times it has soloed the Pokemon League for me is uncountable. Sheer colding our way to victory. If you want to make him, here's what you're going to need. You will need some black wool, dark grey, light grey, white, red, and finally some cyan wool. So once you have every single one of those colours right there, and once you've figured out where you want to make him, I'll be making him right here, you're going to want to kick this off with a row of 3 black wool in a row on the floor. That's 3, so 1, 2, 3, just like that. Once you have your row of 3 black wool, this is what you want to do next. Starting from the left hand side of your row of 3, this first block right here, you want to do 2 up left diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Then go left of that second up left diagonal by 2, 1, 2. Then do another up left diagonal, and go on top of it by 1. Then do another up left diagonal, and go on top of it by 1. Then do another up left diagonal, and go on top of it by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then go left of that third block by 2, 1, 2. Then do 3 bottom left diagonals, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Then go left of that third bottom left diagonal by 1. Then do another bottom left diagonal, and go left by 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do a bottom left diagonal, and go left of that bottom left diagonal by 9, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now from this 9th block, do an up left diagonal, and go up by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Go right of that third block by 1, and then returning back to this third block right here, you want to do an up left diagonal, and go up by 2, so that's 1, 2. Then do an upright diagonal, and go up by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do an upright diagonal, and go right by 2, so that's 1, 2. Then coming up on top of this second block here, this middle block of our row of 3, you want to go up by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do an upright diagonal, and go right by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do a bottom right diagonal, and go right by 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do another bottom right diagonal, and go right by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do another bottom right diagonal, and go right by 1. Then do 3 bottom right diagonals, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Go right of that third bottom right diagonal by 2, so that's 1, 2. On top and below of this second block here, the 2 blocks that you've just added going right, this second block, you want to go up and down by 1. To give you this shape, kind of like a sideways T. Now, starting from the upper part of your T, this single block that we've just placed going up, you want to do an upright diagonal, and then go up on top of it by 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You then, from the row of 5 that you've just formed, started with 1, added 4, 5, you then want to extend the middle block, this third block right here in the center, to the right by 1 to give you this sort of shape. Then you want to return back up to the top here, back up to this 5th top block. You then want to do an up left diagonal, and then go up on top of this up left diagonal by, I'm sorry guys, this requires some counting. Go up on top of the single up left diagonal by 6, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then go to the right of that 6th block by 1. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go down by 1. Then do another bottom right diagonal. And go right by 1, and then go down by 2. 1, 2. To give you this sort of shape. Once you've done that, you then want to return back up to this block that you went down from, and you want to do this. Do an upright diagonal. And go up by 2. 1, 2. And then go right by 1. And then up again by 2. 1, 2. Then do an upright diagonal. And go up by 1. Then do another upright diagonal. You want to be left with a shape that should look a little bit like this, just to show you what this whole thing wants to look like in total, guys. Just to show you how all of the lines line up and such, just so that you guys can get a general idea on what shape you actually want to be looking at to see if you've went right at all, which hopefully you have. I think that should be easy enough to follow. It's not been too difficult so far. Once you guys have reached this point right here, it's now time for us to continue on. The reason that I wanted to show you this now is because we've now got to backtrack a little bit. So, coming back up to roughly where we were just working, you want to locate this block right here, where we kind of have like this lightning bolt shape right here. Well, from the middle corner of the shape, this block right here, you want to do an up left diagonal. And then go up on top of it by 6, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then go left of that 6th block by 1. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go down from that diagonal by 1. Then return back up to the diagonal and do an up left diagonal. Then go left of that diagonal and then go down by 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then do a bottom left diagonal. Then do an up left diagonal. And go up by 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then go left by 1. Then do a bottom left diagonal. Then go down from that diagonal by 1. And then return back up to the diagonal. Then do, from that diagonal, an up left diagonal. Then go left of it by 1. And then go down from that left block by 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then, from that 8th block, this bottom block, do 2 bottom right diagonals. So that's 1 and 2. Go right of that 2nd bottom right diagonal by 1. Then do another bottom right diagonal. And go right by 1. If everything went according to plan, that should reconnect back to the outline and give you a shape which should look a little bit like this. So this is what it should look like once you've added on that little section to the outline of your Kyogre. This is exactly what you want to have. Once you have done that, and as always, pause this if necessary if you're still working on any of that of course, it's now time for us to move on to the other half of our Kyogre. As you can see, we're about 50% done with the outline. We've split him straight down the middle, and now we get to make the other half. And we're going to be starting the other half from the ground up, working our way up again, just as we did the left hand side. We could go all the way around the right hand side and build downwards, but quite honestly I hate doing that, so building up it is. So come all the way back down to our original 3 blocks right here, and this time starting from the right hand side of our row of 3, you want to do 2 upper right diagonals from this block, so that's 1 and 2. Then go right of that 2nd upright diagonal by 2, 1, 2, cow included. Then do another upright diagonal and go up by 1. Then do another upright diagonal and go up by 1. Then do another upright diagonal. And go up by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then go to the right by 2, 1, 2. Then do 3 bottom right diagonals, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Go right of that third bottom right diagonal by 1. Then do another bottom right diagonal. And go right of that bottom right diagonal by 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do another bottom right diagonal. And go right of it by 9, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then from this ninth block, do another upright diagonal. And go up by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then go left of this third block by 1. And then returning back to the third block where you just went left from, you want to do an upright diagonal. And go up by 2, so that's 1, 2. Then do an up left diagonal. And go up by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do another up left diagonal. And go left by 2, 1, 2. Giving you this row of 3. You then want to, on top of this middle block of your row of 3, you want to go up by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do an up left diagonal. And go left by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go left by 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go left by 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go left by 1. Then do 3 bottom left diagonals, so that's 1, 2, 3. Go left of that third bottom left diagonal by 2, so that's 1, 2. Go up on top of this block, this end block, the second block, by 1. And go down from it by 1 to give you a sideways T shape, like this. Now, from this block that you went up by 1 with, this one right here, the upper part of your T, do an up left diagonal. And go on top of that diagonal by 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, to give you a row of 5. 1 plus 4, 5. Extend the middle block of your row of 5, the third block, to the left by 1, like so. Now coming back up to the fifth block, this top block, do an upright diagonal. And then go up on top of this diagonal by 6, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then go left of the sixth block by 1. Then do a bottom left diagonal. And go down from that diagonal by 1. Then do another bottom left diagonal. And go left by 1. And then go down by 2, so that's 1, 2. And then returning back up to the block that you just went down from, do an up left diagonal. Whoops. And then go up from that diagonal by 2, 1, 2. Then go left of that second block by 1. And then go up on top of that block by 2. 1, 2. Now finish this all off by doing a single up left diagonal and then go on top of it by 1, and if everything went to plan, that should connect all the way back together to the other side of the outline and give you something which should look exactly like this. The outline's looking very Kyogre at the moment. All we have to do now, as you guys may notice, is we've just got to add those extra fins, or whatever the hell those things are, on the back of our Kyogre. So once you have reached this point right here, pause this if necessary, if you've perhaps went wrong or you want to check out, make sure everything's okay. Once you have reached this point, however, we do just have to add on this little addition that we added on the left hand side all the way over onto the right hand side here. So coming back over to this lightning bolt shape that we have on the right hand side here, starting from this corner block, this one that I have highlighted right now, you want to do an upright diagonal. And then go up on top of that diagonal by 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then go right of that 6th block by 1. Then do a bottom right diagonal. And go down by 1. Then return back up to the diagonal that you just went down from and do an upright diagonal. Go right of it by 1. Then go down from it by 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then do a bottom right diagonal. Then do an upright diagonal. Go on top of the upright diagonal by 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go right of the 5th block by 1. Then do a bottom right diagonal. Then go down by 1. Then return back up to the bottom right diagonal and do an upright diagonal. Then go right of that upright diagonal by 1. Then go down from that block by 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. From this 8th block, do 2 bottom left diagonals. So that's 1 and 2. Go left of the 2nd bottom left diagonal by 1. Then do another bottom left diagonal. Connect everything together by going left of that bottom left diagonal by 1 to give you this shape now on the right hand side of your Kyogre. I'll just show you both of them together, just make sure that they are both completely equal, which they seem to be. And now, I know that it's getting a little bit dark, however, I'm just going to show you how this all shapes up completely once you have done the outline, since you can still see it. Once I'm back from the dark, we're actually going to add in all of the detail into our Kyogre. So that is the outline 100% complete. Once you have finished taking care of that, as I said, when I'm back, we're going to be doing all of the details. Back in a moment. Alright guys, fun time. We now get to colour in our Kyogre. So come all the way back down to where we first started. We're going to be starting with the main body first. And I guess that the way that we're going to do this, the easiest way to do this first part is kind of like how I do statues, where I just kind of like build up the rows left to right and just call out colours. So that's how it's going to work. Starting from the very bottom row of our Kyogre, so on top of these 3 black blocks here, you just want to start off with 1 light grey going from left to right, 1 white wool, 1 light grey. That is the first row. For the second row, again, all of this is just going to be going from left to right, and I'll be calling out the colours. For the second row, do 1 light grey, 3 white wool, 1 light grey. For the next row, do 1 light grey, 1 dark grey, 1 light grey, 1 white, 3 red wool, 1 white, 1 light grey, 1 dark grey, 1 light grey. For the next row, going from left to right, do 1 white wool, 3 red wool, 3 cyan, 3 red wool, 1 white wool. For the next row, do 1 dark grey, 1 red wool, 1 black wool, 1 red wool, 5 cyan, then 1 red wool, 1 black wool, 1 red wool, 1 dark grey. For the next row, do 1 red wool, 1 black wool, 1 white wool, 1 red wool, 5 cyan, 1 red wool, 1 white wool, 1 black wool, 1 red wool. For the next row, do 1 cyan, 1 red, 1 black, 1 red, 7 cyan, then do 1 red, 1 black, 1 red, 1 cyan. Don't worry, there's not too many rows of this left. For the next row, do... Actually, this is pretty easy. For the next row, do this. Coming in from the left, do 1 cyan, then 2 red, then come all the way over to the right-hand side and do 1 cyan, 2 red, and then just fill everywhere else in between with cyan. So just to show you that row, very simple. There you go. And now for the final row that we're going to be doing this, just place a single red wool on the ends of the row and then throw cyan everywhere else in between. I really hate doing rows like that, guys, believe me, I really hate that, but that is the easiest way that I could think of showing you Kyogre's face. So that is exactly what you want to have. I'm sure a lot of you guys would have been able to just quite simply build the face just by showing you this view right here, but for those of you that may not be so advanced, that is what you want for Kyogre's face. Once you've taken care of that, this is what you want to do next. So, coming up to the left-hand side here where we have this sideways T shape, you guys shouldn't have too much trouble doing this. Going right of this bottom section of the T, place a light grey wool. Then underneath the light grey, place a white, and then a light grey, like so. And you want to do the exact same thing on the right-hand side as well. So coming over to the right-hand side, bottom part of the T, place a light grey to the left of it, then a white underneath that, then a light grey underneath that. So you just want to have that on the left and right hand side. Now coming over to the left hand side again, you kind of just want to line up with this cyan wool. So the second cyan wool coming in from the right, you just want to, on top of the cyan, place a light grey, then a white, and then a light grey to the right of that initial light grey, like so. Then stack 2 rows of white on top of your 3 blocks, and then on top of that second row of white, just do a light grey, white, light grey, then throw a single light grey on top of that top white block, just to give you something which should look exactly like this. And once you've done that on the left hand side, you want to go ahead and do the exact same thing over on the right hand side here. So coming in from the right hand side, on top of the second cyan block, coming in from the right, do 1 light grey, 1 white, 1 light grey, then do your 2 rows of white wool, then do your light grey, white, light grey on top of that second row, and then place a single light grey on top of that white wool right there to give you something which should look exactly like this. And we are just about done with all of the detail that exists on the main body. So once you've done that, all you have to do to finish off the detail of Kyogre's main body is add 2 strips of red wool on the left and right hand sides of the main outline of our Kyogre. So I'm just going to add them in and show you guys the end result of it. I feel as though it will be a lot easier to explain this way rather than try and fumble through any sort of explanation. So that is what you want to do with your red wool. It should actually be really easy for you to do. As you can see, the red sits directly next to the outline. It just follows it all the way down until it does split off a little bit at the bottom, but that shouldn't be too difficult for you. So add in that red wool, and once you have, all we have to do detail-wise to Kyogre now is just mess about with what is honestly relatively complicated on the wings. So pause this if necessary if you're still working on any of that, of course. Once you have taken care of that, however, we can move on to the wings of our Kyogre. So come all the way over to our left wing and come down to the bottom of it. Unfortunately, however, this is one of those sections where it's actually going to be really difficult for me to explain. However, just like with the red wool, it's going to be really easy to see what you have to do once it's actually added into the Kyogre. So I'm just going to add in all of these rows and then I'm just going to show you the end result of it. I genuinely think that it's going to be a lot easier for you if I don't try and explain it whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I've almost finished all of the detail. The reason that this is kind of complicated to explain is it's just a load of really short rows just stacked on top of each other. So there you go, that is what you want to have on the edge of Kyogre's left wing. As you can see, there's no row there that's really any longer than 4 other than the bottom and the top rows. And by the way, just to point that out, the bottom row, the first row that I did do, the 3 light grey and 1 black. That black wasn't there before, so just remember to add that in. So you just want to end up with something that should look exactly like this. They're all multicolored, they're all just stacked directly on top of each other next to the outline. I honestly don't think you guys will have any trouble doing that whatsoever. And once you have done that, I am actually going to be explaining this next part. This next part is ever so slightly tricky, so pause this if necessary if you're still working on that detail on the outer edges of the wing. Once you have taken care of that, however, this is what you want to do. Take out your red wool and come and find this white block here. The second little section of detail down from the top, so this one right here. Going right of this white wool, you want to take out your red and go right of the white by 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then from this 9th block, you want to do an upright diagonal. And then go right of it by 1. Then do 2 bottom right diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Go down of that second bottom right diagonal by 1. Then do 2 bottom left diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Go left of that second bottom left diagonal by 2. 1, 2. Then do an up left diagonal. And then go left of this diagonal until you connect all the way back to the detail that you should have done on the left hand side there. So you just want to end up with a shape that should look exactly like this. However, we've not exactly finished yet, so these next few parts are kind of going to be easier if it's kind of just pay attention rather than to instructions is all I'm saying. Just use your eyes, it'll be a lot easier. So for this next part, you want to connect this block right here to the upper long row that we did. So you just want to connect this bottom row to the row of 9 that we had there. And then coming further along inside the shape that we have here, this semi-rectangular shape, it's not really a rectangle, but as close as you can get to it. From this shape, you just want to add in these 3 red blocks in those positions right there. You then want to come up on top of this block. You guys can identify this block, and on top of this block you just want to do 1 red wool and then do 2 up left diagonals with your red, so 1 and 2, and then go left of the second up left diagonal until you reconnect to the detail on the left hand side of the wing. So you just want to have this shape right here. And once you've done that, you now want to come and locate this block. You guys should be able to tell which block that is. And go down from this block by 1 with your red. And then do 2 bottom left diagonals from that block. So that's 1 and 2. Go left of that second bottom left diagonal by 1. Then do another bottom left diagonal. And go left by 1. To give you something which should, in total, look exactly like this. Really is a bit of a mess of a shape, but really that's the best explanation that I can give you. That is what you want with your red wool. Once you've taken care of that on the left wing, everything that we've now done on the left hand side, we now have to apply to the right hand side. So pause this if necessary if you're still working on any of that, of course. Once you have finished it, however, it is now time for us to move all the way over to the right hand side now. So coming over to the right hand side, again, I'm just going to be starting this off by doing all of the little bits of detail on the right and then showing you guys the end result of it. I really do think that it's going to be a lot easier this way. I'm sure that you guys will have no trouble with this. And then, of course, we've just got to add all of the little bits of red that we've just added on the left hand side, which are slightly trickier, but I don't think you guys will run into too many problems there. It's not that hard. I mean, once you've got the 2 base rows in there, the 2 longer rows, I guess it's kind of easy. It's just you can just kind of, once you know the lengths of the 2 long rows, you can just copy exactly what I'm doing anyway. So there you go, that is all of the detail again that exists on the right hand wing of our Kyogre all the way up the edges. And again, I don't think that you guys will run into too many problems, quite simply just looking and copying exactly what I've just done there. And again, just as a reminder, that first row that I did the 3 light grey and 1 black, remember to add in the black I figured that that'd be quite easy to miss. So once you have done the edges of the wings, pause this if necessary. If you're still working on that, of course, it's now time for us to mess about with the red, which I don't particularly like. So take out your red wool and come and locate this white wool right here. Go left of this white wool with your red by 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then from this 9th block, do an up left diagonal. And then go left by 1. Then do 2 bottom left diagonal, so that's 1 and 2. Go down from that second bottom left diagonal by 1. Then do 2 bottom right diagonal, so that's 1 and 2. Go right of that second bottom right diagonal by 2. 1, 2. Then do an upright diagonal, and then go right of this single upright diagonal until you reconnect with the little bits of detail that we have on the right hand side of the wing to give you this shape right here. Pause this if necessary, of course. Once you have this shape, you now want to do this. Coming to the left hand side of the long bottom row that we have, this block right here, you just want to connect this block to the top row of 9, like so. You now want to add in these 3 red blocks in these positions. Again, I can't really do any better for you than just showing you exactly where you want to add in those red blocks. I'm sorry guys, but I needed to clear my throat. Had something stuck in there. No idea. So add in those 3 red blocks in those positions right there. And now all we have to do is this. So coming up to this top row here, this top row of 9, starting from this 8th block, just place a single red wool coming up from this block. Then do 2 upright diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Then go right of that second upright diagonal until you hit the detail on the right hand side, which should give you a shape that should look exactly like this. Once you have this, you now want to come back down to this bottom long row, and starting from below this block right here, just place a single red wool coming down. Then do 2 bottom right diagonals, so that's 1 and 2. Go right of that second bottom right diagonal by 1. Then do another bottom right diagonal. And then go right by 1 to give you the entire right hand side of your Kyogre done. That is the entire right wing completely taken care of. It should just look identical to the left wing of your Kyogre. And I know it is getting kind of dark, however this next bit doesn't really require any daylight. So this is exactly what you want to have now. You don't really have to see this in great detail. All the detail that exists on Kyogre is currently sitting all inside those lines. The 2 wings, his face, the 2 bits of light that exist just above his eyes, and the 2 red strips. All you have to do now, once you've reached this point right here, is fill the entire rest of Kyogre's body in with cyan wool, which is going to be a relatively lengthy process. I'm going to be back with the daylight and with a completely finished Kyogre. I will be back in a moment once I've finished filling cyan everywhere. Alright guys, so as you can see, I have 100% fully completed our Kyogre. All I had to do, as I mentioned, was just throw cyan wool everywhere inside of the outlines, and that is all we had left to do once we finished both of Kyogre's wings. That is all that we had to do, and hopefully what I'm looking at is exactly what you guys are looking at on your screens. Hopefully you managed to follow this tutorial easy enough. I think that the only really difficult parts that may be ever so slightly confusing are the bits on the wings, but honestly I just couldn't find a better way of doing them. I don't think that could have went any easier. The tutorial's already long enough. Hopefully you guys had an easy enough time following this. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. I don't know what Pokemon I'm going to be making next, by the way, guys. Probably going to be another legendary. I might make Rayquaza. I might make something from Sapphire or Ruby, or I might even go Gold. Maybe I'll make Lugia. I'm not sure yet. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.